Edmonton Meadowlark.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Monetization.
It's an honor to rise today in support of Bill 2, an act to remove barriers for survivors of sexual and domestic violence. And it was a privilege to join our Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, along with the Minister of the Status of Women, for the announcement of Bill 2 at the Sexual Assault Centre of Edmonton in my community of Edmonton Meadowlark. Over the last 2 years, I've had the incredible honor of building a relationship with SACE. Through this relationship, I've been given the opportunity to learn so much from those who work in the community to assist and support survivors of sexual violence here in Alberta. This experience has taught me to examine my own myths and assumptions about sexual violence. Sexual assault is not barred by income level, gender, ability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, culture, or spiritual belief. Anyone can be affected, and so sexual and domestic violence is an issue that affects all Albertans. There are many false beliefs regarding sexual violence, but by definition, in the simplest terms, it is any forced sexual content or contact without the expressed and voluntary consent of the receiving individual. Sexual assault is a crime, and at its foundation, it is an act of power and control. Therefore, as responders, if our goal is to dismantle the systems that hinder survivors, we must approach the issue through these same terms. What power do we have as a government to empower and support survivors? How can we remove barriers to ensure survivors are able to come forward on their own terms? I stand in support of the proposed amendments to the Limitations Act to remove the existing limitation period for civil action for sexual assault, misconduct of a sexual nature, for dependents, minors, and those in intimate relationships, and for non-sexual assault for dependents, minors, and those in intimate relationships. It is our duty as legislators and representatives of all Albertans to provide individuals with the best possible opportunities for success and empowerment by creating safe spaces. We can do this as a government by eliminating barriers and making the legal system more accessible. It is my belief that every Albertan has the right to feel safe, protected, and respected in their communities, and this should be reflected in our legislation. Currently, all common law jurisdictions across Canada, excluding only Alberta and PEI, have removed or amended the limitations period for sexual assault cases. It is time that Alberta catch up with the other provinces of Canada and demonstrate our support for the dignity of survivors of sexual and domestic violence by amending the Limitations Act. Supporting this amendment would put Alberta ahead of what other provinces have currently enacted by eliminating deadlines for people who are victims of family violence, minors, dependents, and intimate partners. Overcoming sexual and domestic violence is a uniquely private, exceedingly difficult, and deeply personal experience, and it affects each survivor differently. By removing arbitrary timelines to reporting, we place the power back in the hands of the individual and recognize that each survivor will take a different path to healing. Furthermore, having a limitation on reporting only helps to perpetuate myths around the statistics and prevalence of sexual violence in Alberta. Cultural attitudes enforced by false myths and ideas around sexual violence enables those who are the abusers, thereby creating a social environment where survivors are silenced and criticized for what someone else has done to them. We need to respect that it may take time for survivors to come forward about their experience. We need to support survivors by opening doors for empowerment, not closing them. I want to thank everyone in this Assembly who has so far shown support for this bill, especially those members who have stood up and shared their own stories of sexual and domestic violence. I am so proud to stand with you in this House, and I know that Albertans are watching and so proud, and I know that it will help them along their own journey. So thank you very much. James and the entire board at the Sexual Assault Centre of Edmonton, as well as the Association of Alberta Sexual Assault Services, the YWCA, and everyone else in our province who works to support survivors of domestic and sexual assault every day. Thank you, Madam Chair.